Kia ora, friends. I'm here with the wonderful Michael Andre Ford, and we are going to be exploring some angels. Kia ora, Michael. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's good to be with you in New Zealand. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, good old US of A.
Yeah, and we're on the cusp of this turning of the seasons, and we were just chatting about that, weren't we, Michael? Do you want to talk about how the weather and what is happening at your end?
Sure. Look, we've had a really big dry spell here in Texas, but some bouts of rain. So that's really helped us out. I'm in North San Antonio, which has a little bit of mini mountains, probably not mountains by New Zealand standards at all. We'll call them molehills. But we've gotten little pockets of rain coming in that have kept us going and kept the trees alive. It's been probably in 100 years, one of the top 5 driest stretches.
And I was just sharing with Michael that we've had so much rain and our land's been slipping into the sea. So maybe that's one of the things we can do. We could start with, Michael, because the land is so important. Our planet is so important, and we can all be part of this healing. We'll send some rain your way and we'll receive some sunshine this way. How about that?
Yes. And I've been asking for rain, and you can ask for rain. It's my thing. If there's one thing that I always suggest to people, or one idea, is what will you allow for, and then what will you ask for, and maybe ask more.
I really love that about you, because every single time that I talk to you, and it's been a couple of times, I love the just getting out of the way and just the flow of light that you describe as angels and angelic light, but it literally just flows through your place through to our place. And it's great when we send it to other places as well. Share that love around the world. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so just tell me a little bit about where you are at right now.
Sure. Well, I've been helping people for a while now, maybe 10 or 11 years, just to let go. There's a lot of thinking what we know details, and that's not going to help us hug a dog, mow the lawn, or get to where we think we want to go. And so I'm going to argue that the distance, or the place that we think we want to go, is really just from here to here in the heart. And not to try so much, and to allow the universe to do its part. And so again, when you're making a request from the heart, things tend to happen easier, more productively, and so on. So I help people let go long enough to actually meet the universe. So angels, light beings, figures from India, Sri Kaleshwar Sai Baba, Vishnu, Krishna, Ganesh, Native American chiefs, and some religious, non-religious figures, Mary, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Plato, Einstein, so on. But you get a direct experience hearing all languages, all dialects. It could be Telugu, it could be French. 5 women from Japan once, most of their answers were in Japanese. And that too, you get any answer to any question, hugs, and you get to see full on. So that is a lot to take in, or to grasp, or to allow for, or permit.
It is. So can you just tell me how, you said 10 or 11 years ago. So what precipitated you to get into to allow this flow of light through you, and to really be the sunbeam you are?
Sure. Now, I'm from the East Coast of the US, and I've moved maybe 42 to 25 times, depending on how you count a move. Both my parents have passed over. When I was 2, a Navy fighter pilot dad, he was 25, turning 26. It was his time to go off of Italy, off of a US carrier. And he was put into Arlington 27 years later. But my mom passed when I was turning 23, and hundreds of people have met them. They're reconciled. They're just great advice givers. They're not angels, but they're unconditional love. And they certainly know what it's about to pay the bills. So they give fantastic advice. They're easy to meet, but you always meet angels first, and whoever's really important to you, figure-wise. I was in New York City for 20 years, Wall Street at the beginning, and then public relations for 16 plus years. It was a layoff. I was the top PR person, making CEO pay at $1 billion law firm. I personally had set up 1,100 media interviews the year before. I had an outside agency staff. The Lehman crisis was in full swing. There were secret stealth layoffs. I was given an hour's notice with 72 other people, and we were out of a job. Now, I was the only one excited because I had bought a home in Austin, Texas, and I had been looking to leave New York with zero game plan. And so I got to do just that. And when I got to Austin, I had an empty house. had a lot of little stuff happen, a relationship thing, other stuff. And it popped me out of thinking long enough to be like, oh, hey, wait, there's something called thinking. All of our judging, all of our knowing, which by the way, half of our knowing changes 10 years later, 5 years later, a week later.
A
It's knowing.
second.
Yeah, a second later. Sometimes what we think we knew, it shifts and we don't really give ourselves credit for being so flexible. But so I popped out of thinking long enough to see, feel, hear angels and other beings, loving beings. I grabbed a camera and panic. I started getting photos of angels, fairies, Play-Doh. I also started helping folks. And by helping folks, I was helping myself chill out about the whole thing. And just to allow the universe, Plato, Mother Teresa, Mary, to do their jobs. That's it. I do the introduction just like I did in public relations, an expert on one side, a lawyer, a venture capitalist, the OECD Secretary General, and then a journalist on the other side. So now I'm not sure if angels are the experts or the journalists, but the point is I take a human being and I matchmake and I help them get exactly who they need for the advice for love, health, career. And then I step out of the way. It's how fast can you write? And it's funny, Australians, New Zealanders, Canadians are absolutely the fastest crowd. They're like dolphins in water. They just know how to listen, get to it. You're at the consciousness level of a pen when you're just writing your answers down. You ask for a hug, you get a hug. It's a million different ways of energy, a whoosh, a goosebump, but a hand on your shoulder too. And you can get healing that way. Even colorblind people have seen color. And the last thing is the seeing part. I graduated a little bit. So first it's a little bit of light on your ceiling or in the sky. And that's a lot right there. But if you're ready and you can handle it, full on seeing out your window, standing there waving hi, angels with and without wings. I make sure you do it both ways, plus those other figures. And then if you can really let go and you're still with me, you haven't run to the next state over, you haven't fled to Tennessee, Oklahoma, wherever I live. And
Did that happen? Did that happen?
No, not if you're in. But after the session, people can get a wild look. And then in the past, 2 houses ago, I'd have them touch this light pole to dump their stress, their baggage. They come in with a situation. They're carrying a lot. I have them touch a lamp, one of those street lights, and I'm like, hey, put it here. Or if I'm picking them up at the airport, I have them touch a steel girder of the airport structure. And I'm like, will you dump your stress? We can get it back at the end of the weekend, but dump everything that you think isn't helpful right now. They come into my property in my house much lighter, but they get a wild look when I suggest at the airport or the street. I'm like, hey, do you want to touch that lamppost and get it off? And that's when the car tires, they start the ignition. Yeah, they're pulling out. So the full-on seeing's a lot, but you can meet your relatives too and have, a loved one or a pet come in, 2 angels standing there or 2 figures that you trust. And you get to see your passed over dog or your passed over aunt. And that's beautiful. But that you might leak a little here.
Absolutely. So just I want to demonstrate this for people. I want you to demonstrate it for people because I love the way that you do it. And so what can we bring through here to everyone who's listening to and watching the live?
Why don't we blow a little sage to wherever folks are at? I've done this on maybe 8 shows this year, and 2 Australian Brisbane podcast hosts got to smell it live or whatever it's called, the show. And if you want to light some sage, so this is just in a shell, and it's it's the sage you find at a Whole Foods supermarket, if anybody has those abroad. Whole Foods is a really big chain here. But I'll blow some smoke your way, and you'll see if you can smell it for the audience. They'll have to trust you. So why don't we go one better? And if the audience is watching this, wherever they're at, they simply have to get to their heart and allow for this. And my only rule or structure is, why don't you silently ask the universe, angels, figures from India, throw in the request to whoever you need to request it to. Make sure you include angels. Ask them to bring you the smoke through my computer screen to yours and catch some sage smoke right now. So you're making a sacred request. Ask angels, help me out of my head, into my heart. Help me smell the scent of sage from Michael in San Antonio to wherever you're at. And my only unofficial rule is just open your mouth 1 millimeter and breathe a little more through the mouth. Just relax 5%, 10% more. If you want to leave your eyes on the sage smoke, Some people taste it with their mouth. Others can get it the second I start lighting it. There's not a lot of smoke, but they catch it right away.
Yeah. I get
And
it
if anybody,
in the left nostril.
yeah, if anybody needs help and they're still trying to get this, like get it in quotes, just replay this. But let me tell one dad joke, because if you can laugh at the dad joke, you know you're in your heart, you're letting go. Laughter, smiling, taking a breath, chilling out, music. There's a million ways to get to your heart. So here's the one dad joke. What do you call a baby camel born with no humps? Hump-free. Exactly. Well, I'm not trying to make this less sacred by telling a dad joke.
That is a bad dad joke, just saying.
It is. But letting go is letting go. And that's the last thing, in a way, going to our heart that any of us really want to do.
And that is so beautiful. And I have to just ask this for our audience, because I asked you that feather. We need to talk about feathers, Michael, because you need to share that story of that feather. That's just such a beautiful, beautiful. I'm holding mine up, my pink
Sure.
seagull.
When I moved to Austin, Texas, I did a lot of trail running. I've been a runner for 40 years. I'm 54 and I've been running since I was 14. I was also the smallest kid at Andover, I'm betting, all the way through to 11th grade. I didn't grow till 11th grade. I was 90 pounds. Back in the 70s, though, when I was 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 years old, again, super skinny. My babysitter from Hungary thought I was going to blow away in the wind. I didn't eat enough. And there's an organization that's akin to Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, and so on, where they give you a wooden piece of wood that's in the shape of an arrowhead. You're supposed to paint it and get an Indian name. Give yourself an Indian name. I would agonize over decisions like that forever. And it ended up being Little Feather was my Indian name. I have 3 Native American chiefs who have been with me since the 1970s. Dullknife, Red Shirt, and Geronimo. Hundreds upon hundreds of people have met them. They're unconditional love spirit guides. It's the actual Geronimo and so on. And he's a real favorite. They helped me whether I knew it or not at the time. I know it's not a big deal to give yourself a name, but it was at my age and the way my mental makeup was. So I agonized. I got the name Little Feather. Now, flash forward to moving to Austin, Texas and running on trails. I found this feather on the trail from this is Geronimo's. And I found this one, same size, from Red Shirt, probably 6 months later. And then I waited 2 years for Dullknife to provide his. I'm like, hey, where's Dullknife's? All 3 guys. And he gave me much smaller feather, which I don't know my own history. And I still didn't get the joke, which is why did I get such a small feather? I don't get it. It was because of Little Feather from the 1970s. And I think that's me all the way. I am super slow on the uptake. Stuff that took me 2 years to learn to appreciate. I think we were talking about this before the show. If you're getting woken up at night, tapped on, or just awoken by your Amakua, your relatives, the other side, the universe, angels, sort of for a lesson while you're awake, I'm the type that rolled over in bed. My cat was a better student. My cat would go out to the living room. I would skip the lesson. Even if I made it to the living room, I'd put on the MTV or I'd put on a black and white movie, but it would be an angel movie or it would be a video with like an angelic theme in it. So I couldn't really escape. But so that would be the long story short, is super slow learner, but I've been really fast at helping people tap their own superhero skills, their sensory skills, and letting go and feeling, seeing and hearing. And that's what's so cool about this, is really everyone is much more light than they realize.
They are absolutely. And I really love the way that I think it's something about, I was going to ask if you're a fire sign, but there's a definite fire ability in their fire, the psychics. And I actually think you're kind of lucky, because light condenses into form in the physical. For me, I'm just going to show literally, I get crystals, I get precious stones that come to me. They're the only way that I can see. I mean, I see light all the time, but to really condense, I get hard objects, or something will literally fall on my head, or it has to come through the post as an actual physical thing. But that's because I tend to hear messages or I feel things, and I love it's lovely if you get it as a visual. My point was that every single person on the planet has these abilities and more. It's just that only a few people choose to actually do something about it. And that's why we need yourself, Michael, to be here to encourage us and everyone who's doing this work.
Well, what's fantastic too is anyone hearing this, there's going to be a portion of the audience that reacts and says, well, I don't know. I think it's really other people who have that skill. And you have a roadmap in front of you all the time in each moment for any situation. We're talking about career, you think it's not happening, relationships, you don't have enough love that's being shared. Watch those reactions. It's very limited. We think we're sophisticated up here, that everything is really wildly, big. And it's actually when it's thinking and it's ego based, or it's resistance, or it's judging, or knowing to the preclusion of possibility, it's actually a very limited play sheet, whether we're talking rugby, football, soccer. It's very limited number of plays. And it's the same circular reasoning. Yeah. So when we react, we limit all the time. And if you can just don't fight it, but if you want to grab a reporter's notebook, a little one, and carry it around, you can note the reaction that was the limiting belief. Because when you're in your heart, you don't have time for thought. You're actually swinging the baseball bat, hitting the ball. You're swinging the golf club, having a good time. You're laughing at a joke. You're drinking wine with a friend. You're surfing. There's a million ways to get to here. But then a lot of us don't have time. We have career. We know what we know. We're bouncing around emotionally, and it frazzles us. It wipes us out. So if you can pump the brakes one way or the other, use yoga, read a book, blow sage around your house, start to slow down and figure out ways to slow your intake so your awareness can come up out of the heart and fill in, and you'll say, holy cow, I've had it the whole time. And you do this if you're an athletic person, whether you're a hardcore athlete or you're just, twice a week doing yoga, but time stretches or shrinks to really fast when you're having a good time. So nothing is as linear or as fixed or as knowledge-based or factual. I'm so stuck, Michael. You don't understand my situation. That's just ego talking. You've been given, a bigger obstacle, which just means more opportunity for growth. But I've yet to meet a person laid off, or who just got divorced, or the notification of divorce, who says, oh, wow, this is my opportunity for growth, and I'm going to make this count. We usually have to react for a good year or two with our head down,
Yeah. Well, if you're like me, I got it was a near plane crash that actually made me realize that I had some powers. And it was me because I was directing my anger. And at the moment I did it, a black-back gull went through an engine. My husband was flying the plane. I'd never flown with him. I sent him a text. I said, better be good landing, Captain. And boom, and the whole plane just went literally into an emergency landing over Wellington. We do. And I was laughing outrageously because it was like, oh my God, there was me. Oh my God, there was the universe. It was telling me to wake up. So there are ways to do it that are gentle on yourself, that reacting to bad, or, to your bad feeling. I think there's so much that we can learn by experiencing ourselves and our greater selves and enjoying it as opposed to fighting with it.
Would you like me to put some photos up just for people to see? It's not just balls of light for angels or Play-Doh, but other shapes as well. And these are photos taken indoors or outdoors, and anyone can do this. I use historical photos as well, just as a prop to help people to let go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the very first angel that people meet is Joy, an angel who's the emotion Joy, the ambassador communicator. She's a pink ball of light. People can go back and pause this and take a longer look. But there's an angel who's my guardian angel, really complicated name. You can look on my website for that. Its first part is the Lakota Sioux word, the Native American word for water, min, like Minnesota. But there's a silhouette of an angel, actual photograph. Here's a fairy named Ginger. And I have her a whole bunch of different ways that none of them look the same for shapes. And you can see a little bit of rainbow light on her wings. Here's 4 archangels. Again, there's no one way about the photographs. There's Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. There's 3 more off camera, but I have them in other forms as well. If anybody wants to go back and pause the show and put their hands up to the screen, from a photograph through a screen to their screen to them, they can feel the energy. Now, we might have done this before the show. That's everybody talking with me right now to admit out loud to the audience. But the point is, you can hear, you can get hugs, and then you can just look out your window. If it's daytime, it's easier. I'll just show one or two more. There's a Charlotte who's one of my business managers. She's everybody's favorite teacher from third form, third grade, with words meant to help you expand. If you like ancient Egypt, talk to her. There's no limits for what you can ask about. I always start people off with gentle questions so the stress doesn't come right in. Here's Plato the philosopher. And if anyone can just allow for seeing the old man's face, there's like mustache, eyes, no hugs.
No hugs from Plato. Say that again. Do you know?
Yeah, they're sweaty. So a fist pump, a tap on the shoulder works fantastic for him. He is such a great life path advisor. Like, you have no privacy, but don't freak out about that. Like, you have tons of respect for your path. There's no interference. Do what you are already going to do and keep doing what you're doing. But the second you're like, hey, I could use a little help, it's like having the best uncles or the best aunts or distant friends or an invisible corporate board of directors who can weigh in at any level of detail you'll allow for. But what will you allow for?
So this crystal that you hold at your neck that you touch, tell us about that. It's so beautiful. Is it aquamarine?
Topaz.
Blue topaz.
Yes. And I have an orange citrine one, and I have a white coral one, and I always go back and forth.
And do they help you to get to your heart?
Yeah, I mean, I can use that. I can use a slap in the back of the head pretty much all the time to get to my heart. Exactly. I do as much thinking as the next person. I do think, though, that I'm very much enthusiasm or enthusiastic, if anyone has picked up on that. And I know a lot of people will react to that. And the lucky thing is, it's really not about me. I help a person pump the brakes to drop to here. And the people who are ready for that are going to be able to hear it. If it's not resonating in any way, you can still find a way to your heart and allow for angels to come in, the smells to come in. And if somebody's really gung-ho and nodding and they're loving your vibe, they're loving this right now, they can ask their angels right now. So here's an exercise. Even just put your hand up or out to the side or in your lap. Ask angels to touch your hand with some energy. And I'll challenge our host to actually see a little pink light in her hand if she puts it out in front of her a little more, because she was talking to Joy before the show. I'm so sorry to throw you under the bus.
Did you not see that there?
But you can feel the energy. Ask angels to come in, and then ask for your favorite beach. Don't pick the one that's a mile away. Ask for Maui, Hawaii. Ask for that Auckland, or pick a place somewhere around the globe. And for those who are really good at letting go, let that come into your room. Even feel a little wind in your hair, and go for the floral on top of the ocean smell. If it's Hawaii, ask for hibiscus and whatever floral smells angels can bring you. If your eyes shut, you can see the waves. It's a Peppermint Patty commercial from the 1980s. It's that top of the mountain wind in the hair experience. And that too is where you can ask for an angel to touch the small of your back with a slender feminine hand and get some direct healing. But that's for the person who's like, okay, I'm in. Like, count me in. They're grabbing the chair. They're sitting down at the poker table. And they're like, hey, deal me in. I've got my chips. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's amazing. I absolutely love that. I love all the ways that you encourage people into, it's almost like, I think next time we actually have to bring some people into the screen.
We should.
Dial them up and let them experience it in all the different ways that we can help them into this.
And what's beautiful about the photos is it's a great prop. I mean, we need help to let go and trust that any of this could be real, or that we should listen to another human being about any of this. And my point of view is, look, you've got it all. Do it on your own. Skip the middle person. But I'm going to suggest one more little exercise. Now, this is going to be a lot for any part of the audience that's like, well, I'm not sure about the sage. I'm not sure about the beach, the floral. I'm not sure about my hand. But just catch a little ball of light, come by, or at your end, or at their end, peripheral. Don't
Mm.
jump. It's just angels showing love for you.
Mm.
A little soft white ball of light, a blue streak. If you want to go gutsy, ask for a firefly streak and look for it. Look out the window,
Mm.
look down your hallway. Let fairies, angels, your relatives, let your whole cheerleading squad kick it into gear for you,
Mm.
and it'll short circuit everything you know. You're going to go fried up
Mm.
here, your jaw's going to drop, and you're going to be like, I didn't just see that.
Mm.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny, and it's actually to get to to that realm of knowing and seeing and feeling and experiencing as we naturally can. It's the slowest level of your brain waves, and it's bizarre that the slowest and the highest, gamma and delta, are just like that. But you essentially have to be awake, asleep, which is being in your heart space.
And you're joining the Kappa Gamma Delta fraternity or
Mm.
sorority to be in the club with angels. That's it. I'm totally spinning that a little bit into a pun. But so you join Kappa Gamma Delta, the club, the
Mm.
sorority, the fraternity, whatever I'm talking about, and you let go long enough to literally let all these figures who exist
Mm.
do their job. You get out
Yeah.
of here, out of your
Yeah.
own way, and allow.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Do you? I know you have your counsel present, but if someone's listening, and I don't know, if you know, a lot of people are really interested in that book, Think and Grow Rich, and the only chapter that I really liked was where he called in his galactic council, and he started doing it for 6 months. And he assembled this council of living and passed over figures and gods and goddesses. And he actually chaired the meeting with, this is Napoleon Hill, famous writer, but I love
Yep.
that chapter because he assembled a galactic council. So can you, just from your perspective, Michael, because I know that you and people can definitely contact you and reach out and get some guidance around different angels that they may bring in and different figures. But if you were going to put together a council of these figures that exist, tell us how you'd do it.
Well, I think it's already in place, and I'm the slow one who's slow on the uptake to appreciate the fact that they're already there, always
Yeah,
have been. And I've just been the one with a lot of dust cloths over my head or hoods, and they keep
yeah,
getting yanked off. But I actually keep a list
awesome.
because there's
Love that.
170 figures, and I've been writing them for since the beginning. Min, Charlotte,
Ah,
Joy,
Mac,
and then
don't
the list
call her
goes
Mackenzie.
on.
Who's Mac? Sorry, I have to ask you.
Yeah, don't call her Mackenzie.
Who's that?
Max an angel, and Max an angel who's plants and animals, and you can close your
Ah,
eyes and have it easy. Instead of seeing directly, you can actually have like a guided meditation from angels. You can have Tibet come to you or India come to you in a setting that's
mm,
so gorgeous, an oasis in the Middle East, Hawaii. But if it's Hawaii and you want to go surfing with angels, people did this at a summer event at the Omega Institute with their eyes shut. The whole room sits and does a guided meditation. I'm only involved for the first 40 seconds. You tell angels to make it nice. You get to surf on gentle waves. You just know how to surf like a professional.
mm,
And then there's a Penelope and there's a Mac. They're your number one and number two surf guides, and they make
mm,
everything super nice. Again, feel the energy. Ask for a forest smell. Ask for any smell you'd like that's super pleasant. Let her surprise you. Ask for just a reassuring hug, or ask for a childhood memory of that great trip or a waterfall feeling. You can
mm,
ask for what you're going to ask for, but her name is Mac. Don't call her Mackenzie. And so what's beautiful about this is there's no limits. So it's nice to have photos of angels. I really feel like I'm off the hook because if you can see directly and you did this with a sister, a cousin, a husband, a friend, and you're getting along and they've done it, you can joint see and hear. And
mm,
not just that, with the eyes closed doing the meditation part at the event. It was a 3-day event in New York at
mm,
this prestigious institute where Deepak Chopra goes, Jane Goodall, Byron Katie, Eckhart Tolle's probably been there, blah, blah, blah. People got to shut their eyes and they got to go surfing in Hawaii. And afterwards, there's like a luau and some actual Q&A and healing and all that stuff. But with Native Americans, angels, and so on, they got to see each other while they were surfing in the same dream time or angel
mm,
time. And
mm,
5 minutes of our time is 10 minutes over there. And I had two podcast hosts, one in Florida, one in California, who can't possibly be together. They did this at the same time. I'd already done their show. They'd already met angels, but they wanted to do it again. Very brave, because this is a lot to allow for. But they each were comfortable with each other. So the woman in California and the woman in Florida got to see each other while they were surfing with their eyes shut. And I don't know what to call any of this. It's 1 + 1 = 111. Let the audience members slap labels on it. But the real thing is, it's a lot of fun to go surfing. You can still ask questions while you're in the middle of surfing. Charlotte, what do I need to know about my next book? Or my cousin Fred?
It's absolutely beautiful. And the thing about this is, this is natural. Like, I know we're talking like it's supernatural, but it actually isn't. And which is why I was so interested, because you have a counsel and they're there for you all the time, and
Yes.
and everything else. But I'm so you would suggest to someone who's never done this, who's watching the show and is saying, yeah, but Michael, how do I
Sure.
start
So
for
here's
myself to
very
make it real?
practical tips. Thich Nhat Hanh's Pieces Every Step is the shortest little book by the fellow, and he's passed over now. You can meet him. He's part of the crew. Super on the money. Develop some mindfulness techniques, practices, some pauses. You don't have to call it anything. Some consciousness awareness raising moments, but it's just pumping the brakes before you go from one task to the next. Avoid the telly. Pour a little tea. Write down a tea time for yourself and nature. Sit on a patio, sit on a balcony, sit in a living room with sun streaming in, and just try to sip the tea. Try to do anything to break your natural routine. If you normally walk, go for a slight run, but pick some music, no music. Shake things up, spin the wheel a little. Don't sleep in the same spot if you want to go meditate. Pick the floor with the beach towel, but invite the universe in. You're going to have to cultivate a little bit of a practice out of what you know. What you know is so strong, but it's back to the sports analogy of a very limited play card. It only knows 25 moves. It only knows how to say 25 things of resistance that automatically block you from opening up. And that's if you're looking for the cues on how to even get there, follow the little thoughts that say, no way, Jose. I don't believe a thing that they're doing right now. You're going to find that that's the same limiting factor for career, why you don't have that true love, why you aren't having enough fun and just laughing spontaneously for no reason. Life is not a routine. Live it. And here's your challenging line straight from angels. There's very little that I say that's original, but you can be happy now in this very moment for no reason at all. That destroys our entire foundation, our structure by thinking. And I think, if that's true, why aren't we doing it?
Well, we are. And so from that, one of the things that you said, I'm going to hold you to this, because I think people, they need a diary. They need to start challenging their thoughts and keep a record of it, because you said write it down. But you obviously journal a lot, and I do think that is something that may, for practical people, they may like that. The other thing I just wanted to ask you about, so if I want to break up and pause things with another person I haven't met, I always hug on the left, because I give heart hugs, because your heart is on the left side. And I tell you, every single time I do it, if it either it works or they look at me weird. And then they'll say, why did you do that? And I say, I just wanted to feel your heart. I just wanted to give you a little heart hug. But sometimes you end up headbutting. Sometimes you can, it gets very awkward. It's just so much fun, though. But that's just my little practical. Do you, because I know you're a big heart practitioner, do you have any other pattern interrupts that you can do with other people?
On the hugging front, I got to do a quick aside, and that's I'm more careful now with hugs, because when I do a hug, I'm usually helping lift their energy off. And it's like Samsonite luggage of not necessarily the positive stuff. So it'll build up in my home, and I get yelled at here. If it builds up too much, the fire alarms in the house go off, and I've got to go sage and open windows. Every house I've lived in the last 3 in Texas, 10% conscious. So helping me as a tool, just like a crystal. I love crystals. I have tons of crystals. A lot of them are in my boxes, but I've got some set out. Everything around you is your instruction. You can hear a crystal talk. I wanted to mention that. You can hear birds talk. You can hear your living pet speak to you. You can hear trees. Not every tree, but what's great is maybe just touch a crystal first and feel a vibe. and put a expression to the vibe. Oh, it feels like creativity. It feels like a waterfall. But if you'll allow for it, you can get a few words. Stones will speak to you. And I know people in India, many, not everybody, believes in everything speaks. The only question, it's the Winnie the Pooh quote. Everyone talks to animals, no one listens. We don't have to talk animals. Everything is your instruction. Everything is speaking. We would have to pump the brakes long enough on all of our knowing and thinking and running around up top, the rat race, to actually just do basic listening. That's all this is.
That's really beautiful. That is beautiful. So I'm going to get you to share how people from your mouth, how do people get in touch with you, and how do they learn more about your amazing work, Michael?
Sure. Now, my website is my full name, Michael, Michael, Andre, Andre, Ford, like the truck or car, michaelandreford.com. It has tons of stuff on the website, including photos of angels, the back page, photos of angels without the watermarks on the front page. Put your hand out, feel those photos. Look at a photo, talk to the photo, listen. If you can listen to your neighbor at work, or you're a journalist and you listen to your people you're interviewing, you can listen. Just listen. That's it. Ask for a hug, feel a hug. Historical photos. There's an Audrey Hepburn photo. You can meet her, an angel. Let her move in the photo. The Sai Baba from 100 plus years ago. Let him wink, smile, shoulder waggle in the photo. So I'm talking all the impossible stuff is totally possible. You've got the website, and then there's a little book at Amazon that's the price of a cup of coffee. It's been out since 2014. It was #2 on Amazon on April 30th in the angel category, ahead of Kyle Gray and Tyler Henry, the Hollywood medium, and behind Sonia Chiquette. It's 15-minute read, and it's written by angels. Anybody who thought I wrote it, no way, Jose. It's straight, gentle, compassionate, very gentle, and it actually helps you step by step let go. There's 7 photos of angels. You meet 7 angels. It's probably your best bet before doing anything on the website or grabbing me. Just go grab the book and see if it resonates.
That's beautiful. Did you take the photos yourself as well? Yeah.
Oh, out of sheer panic. If I'm the audience member out there who's like, whoa, how could you smell sage? Or Maui, Hawaii? How can you feel energy? I don't even know if my hand's working. I literally took a flame at the beginning 11 years ago. And I was like, are you sure our hands can feel? Are you sure? And yes, just if you need to, don't burn your hands. But I mean, practice for a week until you get some confidence. It's all being in the moment, and practice being in the moment. Be one with nature, the sunset, your relative. Think of all the loved ones around you, your pets. How often do you actually say, I love you? Or go give your heart hug? That's the metric or the barometer here. Are you awake, conscious? And I don't mean the wake talk all over the place. I just mean, can you appreciate the moment? Can you allow? Can you bubble up you have more energy? Do it a different way. When you were 7 or 10 or whenever you were that fiery, firebrand, wild, crazy individual, you never lost it. So I hate to break that news to everybody. You might be downtrodden because of 3 divorces in a row or 5, but you didn't lose a step. It never left you your high energy. Allow the connection to the universe. It's just the flow. And people can meet their higher selves or souls, and they can see that light out over the sky, and they can see their higher self. But when you connect, that's when your eyes sparkle. Think of anybody who's walked into a social gathering that lights up a room and is totally pleasant. They've got that presence. Instead of 10 feet out or 5 meters, it's 20 meters out. You just kind of gravitate to the person. That is what you all have if you just allow it. 7% less thinking a week.
I love that. Hey, so Michael, what are you doing this year? What are you doing? Tell us, well, this year, when I mean the new season that we have, because we've just come through autumn, spring equinox. So what are you going to do in the next 12 months to expand your life?
Schmoozing with bigger shows and podcast hosts and stuff like that. There's a group called the Shift Network. So there might be news coming out soon of something that I taped recently, and I'll be part of an experience. So that's fun. And just
do we know when that is, so that I can, because if I can share it, I will.
I can share it in like mid to late October. I won't get in trouble before that.
So people need to connect with you, and then you can share it yourself.
Yeah, it'll be on my website like mid to a week later in October. Soon.
So that's big. And when are you surfing next? Tell us when you're going to go surfing, because it's a wee way to go from San Antonio, right?
Yeah, a show host who's out in Tacoma, Washington. I'll be on her show for a third time in December, late December. She's invited us out to Hawaii for a week. So we're going to be out there. I haven't been in 20 years, but there's great surf. I've loved the water all my life. I don't know what I'm doing in San Antonio. It's so beautiful here. But there's surf, going to be bodyboarding out there quite a bit. And you never know. There might be a small little event. I'm still kind of poking around out there.
Oh, well, we want to hear about that as well. So thank you very much for that, Michael. And let end us with some beautiful issuing from whoever comes through. End for the audience in this beautiful bathing of light.
Sure. So everyone has a unique life path. You'll catch yourself fighting that statement, and you'll catch yourself on that other statement, which is you can be happy now in this very moment for no reason at all. That's the power of letting go. You don't have to know anything. And anything that you thought you were letting go of, it's going to come right back. So don't worry about the fear part of letting go of what you've learned, what you know, what you think is concrete thinking you're fixed to. So take the chance. It's going to feel like a leap of faith. It's religious. It's non-religious. It's the same leap. It's the same letting go. It's going to feel like 2 kilometers down, you're leaping into the most largest falls in the world, a waterfall that you can't survive if you hit the bottom. But it's 1 millimeter, or it's the distance from here to here, because all you're doing is going to your heart. Take 5 breaths right now, 3 breaths. If you've got any stress from even the mere suggestion of letting go of the control, exhale once like a whale and start giggling or laughing a little, because there's no difference between lighting the Bic lighter or you lighting up here. It's all the same moment. All moments can be the same. Now, the second I said that, good luck with that. Remember to remember, if you can remember to remember. We're so human that we want to be up in the brain no matter what. I hate this. I'm rejecting that. I know that I'm this and I'm stuck. There's no way it could be this simple. But when you get to your heart, that's when you taste the sushi. That's when you love getting a hug. That's when you catch cologne or perfume that's not been invented yet from angels. You ask right now Audrey Hepburn to bring you the best French perfume, cologne, that rocks your world sensory-wise, yet to be invented. The real question is, you're living your life, what will you really allow for? And most of us say we want freedom, total fun, more love. That's all this is really about, is more love, more gentleness, kindness. But it has to start with you, towards you, before you could ever go, quote, change the world. But what I was trying to say at the very beginning of that was the unique life path. You have one. Just recognize the difference between awareness, unconditional love, the shininess, the part of you that never left when you were little, and then all the conditional stuff, the conditional thinking, the heaviness. Your soul's journey happens over many lifetimes. You can accelerate it if it's okay to say it this way. I'm not suggesting you're not good where you are, but love isn't everything. Just open your eyes a little more when you're ready to catch a little more interaction with life. That sunset, sunrise, glass of wine, cup of tea, friendship, more friends. Bring in whatever you want to set your sights on. Have more fun.
Have more fun. That was just unbelievable. And thank you so much, Michael. Really, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I feel very motivated to go out.
I can feel you saying thank you. So thank you.
You're such a beautiful man. And we'll be back, won't we, Michael?
Yes, please. I would love to come back on anytime. I love your show. I'm so excited for you. I think your audience is only going to keep growing and growing and growing. So it's fantastic.
Thank you, my friend. Mauri ora.